First of all, I'd like to find out how you got involved or developed this process. Morna?
I was familiar with the old method they called the Ho'oponopono, which is being practiced in Honolulu today. But this is my method because I've updated it, and I did have this in other lifetimes.
From my personal experience in looking at religion, I had learned the method of relying on other sources of healing my spiritual self. And it seems that I've struggled with a lot of problems in learning that I can't have anybody else carry that burden or learn or heal that process. But this is a method of centralizing that.
Well, I think it's unique because instead of us having another person tell us, we ask the divinity to, because he created us, and no one else has created us except the divinity.
In this process, you're bonding with the divinity in order to understand what needs healing.
Well, I think when the person knows by the technique that we teach, he is able to do it himself. And the error is not outside, it's always within himself. And if he clears it, situations outside will clear itself.
You're not interested in really changing people, whether they're alcoholics or people on drugs, or even your kids like my daughter. That's not my job. My job is just to work on me. I mean, I have enough stuff without my having to go look up and take care of somebody else. But the beautiful part about what we do is, like in the case of my daughter, as I work on judgments I have about her, then she's free and she can go. She can follow the path that divinity has for her, not what I think, because I'm just a man. I didn't create her. He created her, and he's saying to me, just take your stuff off of her. Let her go. Set her free.
O mai ka pō I loko o ka māla malama, wau no ka hā, ka mauliola, wau no ka poho ke ka ele mauhai o nā ike a pau, ka I ke kino iu nā mea a pau, ka eo I ku upio o nā anua nui a wahoai o nā kai a pau, ko mau o nā manao a me nā mea a pau, wau no ka hō me ka hā, ka huna e huna ka makani nai nai, ka hua huna ko ngolipo o wau no ka I.
I'm Hawaiian. My ancestors are from Kohala, which is the same area that King Kamehameha is from. And then we moved to Honolulu. So I spent most of my school days in Honolulu, and then I went to Kamehameha schools to finish up. And went on and finished at the University of Colorado in Boulder. Then a few years later I went to the University of Utah and got a graduate degree there. And then followed up by 2 years of graduate school, got a PhD at the University of Iowa. And then I spent the next 30-something years bumping here and there, different jobs. Psychologist in a state hospital, administrator for one of the largest nonprofit organizations in Hawaii. I've taught at the University of Iowa, Brigham Young University in Hawaii, University of Hawaii. I have 2 children. They're wonderful people. I have a couple grandchildren. I've been doing the Ho'oponopono for about 14 years. Learned it from Morna Simeona, who is the creator of this process.
Saying it begins with you, always. So if I had a difference with you, you're just a reflection of me. So when we go out to teach, it's just cleaning our crud up. We got a feedback in meditation. If you were able to see or understand who you are, you're able to talk to every molecule of creation. And I feel that everyone But I think the problem with most of us is the idea we get our heads full with so many approaches. We begin to say, is this like this or this like, but it is not. It is, you're only talking about yourself. Just you is the most precious individual and gem in the entire world. Erase an error. Now that can be done in Japanese or any other language. And when we erase an error, that means we go back in memory, and it's all thought forms. So when we look at thought forms, we have a hatred within us. Before it goes out, the other person is hit. And we don't know, I think most of the lifetimes that we are working with are with thought forms. Everything is thought form.
The Ho'oponopono process is a simple process to solve problems and to release stress. It's the process is to solve problems and to release stress. And what a problem is a thought for which you have a negative feeling. For example, maybe you're in a business relationship and you have a thought of that person, and that thought brings up annoyance and irritation, judgment. And so what the Ho'oponopono does is that it allows the divinity to transmute. It takes the unwanted negative energy and moves it, purifies it, releases it, and then exchanges that energy with perfect and right light, which may have blessing, an answer. That's basically what the Ho'oponopono is. And what it has, it has three parts. It has repentance, forgiveness, and then transmutation. And in doing that process, what it does is that the transmutation takes place spiritually, mentally, and then physically. And so it's really a total rebalancing of your whole being, because in the end, who you are is the three aspects of the mind, the spiritual, mental, and the physical. So the Ho'oponopono process allows the divinity to transmute any unwanted negative energies within you spiritually, mentally, and physically, and then you heal.
My name is Lloyd Tata. I've been doing Ho'oponopono for about a year now, and it's been very helpful in my daily life. One of the things that it really helped me with was soon after I started doing the Ho'oponopono, I was informed by the state, since I was a state worker, that I was going to be laid off from my work. Just about that time, I started really doing my Ho'oponopono, doing my process, and it became very helpful where I wasn't stressed, I wasn't pressured, I didn't feel any anxiety about becoming unemployed. As it got closer to my final day of being laid off, I became very peaceful and very content, like it was the right thing to happen at the right time.
So all problems for the divinity begins with a thought. And with that thought is attached an emotional memory of some sort. It could be anger, resentment, annoyance, and irritation. And so this emotional thought is the origin of all disease. So the Ho'oponopono gets to the cause of the disease, which begins in the mind as thought. When you do this Ho'oponopono, what you're doing on your part is you're saying to the divinity, I'm responsible for this unwanted emotional energy, and I'm sorry about it. Please forgive me. And once you do that, then the divinity's responsibility then is to take that E, or that negative energy within that thought, to purify it first, or what we call neutralize it. And after that energy has been neutralized, then the divinity removes it, pulls it out, releases it, and now you have an empty space, or what he calls a void. And then the last step is he fills that void with divine light in the way of perfect and right answer, blessing. So once that light goes into that thought, now your mind automatically moves and does whatever it needs to do. So it creates your being purposeful. Every time you do the cleaning and you allow the divinity to transmute an E to D, then your mind becomes purposeful.
Hi, my name is Brian. I do my Ho'oponopono at school. school and at home, all the E's go off of me. If you ask Ho'oponopono and you think too much, you build up a wall so Ho'oponopono cannot go to you.
Years ago, there was this little boy out in Waianae. Now, he had a problem in that the teacher picked on him all the time. Picked on him. So at some point, he decided he didn't want to go to school. And not wanting to go to school, then his mother got concerned. And the mother talked to him, and so he said to his mother, I don't want to go to school because the teacher's picking on me. So for whatever reason, the mother called me. And the mother asked me, told me about the problem, and said, you know, it's something I feel like I got to talk to the school about. Maybe call the principal, talk to the teacher. And I said to the mother, no, you don't have to do that. The problem is with you and I, and if we're willing to do this Ho'oponopono process, this youngster will be okay. He will be okay. And so I suggested to the mother that she come and talk, the boy come and talk to me, her son. She had asked me if she could come with him. I said, no, let me talk to him. So he came, and so I talked to him, and I said to him, what is going on? And he basically said the same thing his mother said, that the teacher was picking on him. So I said to him, why do you think the teacher is picking on me? And for whatever reason, his response was, I think there's something about me that bugs her. I said, yeah, you hit it right on the head. So then I taught him the process of how to debug himself, how to move the E to the D, and that process called the pillar of the peace of I. So I taught him how to do the pillar of the peace of I, which is a Ho'oponopono process, allowing the divinity to move thoughts from E to D, and he did. And maybe, I don't know, several weeks later, I was out and I visited my mother. He saw me. He put his hands up and he went, all right. He said to me, I'm invisible now, that she can't see me. And I said to him, what does it mean? And his response was, she doesn't pick on me anymore. So he learned that his problem was something about him, in him, that bugged the teacher, and so he debugged it. By doing this process, debugging means allowing the divinity to move the E to a D, and then everything goes back into peace and balance, yeah, which is what freedom is. So the Ho'oponopono's major objective is freedom. Freedom from what? Our E's that cause us disease in our relationship with people, places, things. But the ultimate problem is our thoughts of. It is never about that person or the situation, the condition, but it's your thoughts of that creates the disease or the disharmony. So Ho'oponopono is about freeing yourself from those E's and then being free.
The process has really helped me in my role as a parent. I mean, so in the home situation, because instead of as a parent, starting, you just get. You have a reaction to something, and instead of my saying something, which is the normal thing, or doing some negative thing, I start cleaning. I'll come home maybe sometimes, and the kids are yelling at each other or whatever is going on, and I just start cleaning. And if I start cleaning, everything just sort of calms down, settles down. I think the important thing is I don't get upset. Instead of my going like, oh my God, I'm tearing my hair out about something, it's like, oh well, okay. And I see my role almost as a parent is almost like, well, hey, things just go however, and helping them to accept how things come without struggle that oftentimes I think we always have in our lives. So it's like it flows, It's like you're just kind of just rolling along, and our household is much happier. It's easier. The things that we need to do, we're able to do, and things just come, and we don't have to think about it. That's the most wonderful thing about the process. You don't have to think. You don't have to do. It's what you need comes. If you're just willing to clean. And sometimes they come and you don't even realize that they're coming. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the process because it's allowed me to be at peace with myself and with others.
So by people learning to do this process, they can in fact recreate their lives free from these E's, and as in allowing the divinity to exchange the E's for D's, then their lives become more purposeful and they prosper. They become more prosperous spiritually, mentally, physically, and then ultimately financially and materially. That's the way it works.
The Ho'oponopono experience hasn't been one tremendous blowout of just wonderful things. It's been kind of a layering of smoothness on my day-to-day life, I feel, because just like sometimes, everything will be going okay, but I'll still feel like upset inside, and so I'll start to get upset at the people around me, even when they aren't doing anything. And then I can just do Ho'oponopono and clear and, let the ease go, and that way I don't end up, upsetting my friends.
If you want to take the class, you must first come and attend a lecture, yeah? And what happens is you are given basic information in a 2-hour lecture, or actually an hour and a half, in which we describe to you what a problem is, what the solution is, how the Ho'oponopono works, and we talk about self-identity. By doing this process of the Ho'oponopono, you come to know more and more who you are, and you become more and more purposeful.
And be at peace. For the buffalo on the prairie, the tumbleweed, the cactus, and all mountains, valleys, and streams echo their gratitude to the world. The desert no longer will be barren, for in time life will exist where barrenness existed. Water will be abundant where there was a void, and the songs of birds, trees, and mountains will echo with those of minerals and rocks, saying, "We are set free." So it is the beginning of all life's trek home to the divinity. He will point his shaft of light to all of us. Pua mai au mai ka pō, I loko o ka malama, wau no ka ha, ka mauliola, wau no ka poho ke ka ele mauhai o nā ike a pau, ka I ke kinuhio nā mea a pau, ka eau I ka upio o nā anui nui ma wahoai o nā kai a pau, ko mau o nā manao a me nā mea a pau, wau no ka ho me ka ha,